And that is a very pronounced line stretching all the way from Del Rio up through Austin along the 35 corridor. This is a large area experiencing the threat for gusty, damaging winds at the moment.
And if this path just continues right here, there's the leading edge, moving due east, I mean, that's going to put it right through the heart of southeast Texas here in about 2.5 hours. It's trucking. If that's moving at 60 miles an hour, it's about 120 miles from downtown or a little less than that. That's moving.
Now let's put it out 2 hours. It's 60 miles per hour.
60 miles an hour. So if it maintains its 60 mile an hour speed, you know, it's Brenham 109, Navasota 130. That's going to put it into Columbus before 2 a.m. So it's trucking, and with that type of storm motion, that speed, you can expect at least some scattered power outages and a few limbs to come down with the straight line winds associated with that bow echo, that line of storms. Yeah, let's put up that and see if we have anything that looks dangerous as far as wind speeds go.
Right, so this is our velocity feature here, and this lets the radar depicts how fast the air is circulating around the radar site. And it's clocking some 60 mile per hour almost readings. That's severe.
So it's right above the surface, but that heavy rain transports those winds down to the surface. You know what I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing any couplets.
That's the good thing, yeah.
So at the moment, no tornado threat at the moment. And it is interesting that they didn't put any of the area under a tornado watch. They just went thunderstorm watch, meaning the Weather Service, they're also seeing what we're seeing. It looks like a straight line wind threat overall.
Right, and we've also been monitoring, David, the amount of lightning associated with these cells. Yeah. We're able to take vertical slices of these storms to kind of see how high they are into the atmosphere. And most of them have been coming in under 30,000, which is still very high. It's where the jets fly. But when we get up to 40,000, 45, we really get that vertical development, and they're highly electrified. Not really the case this time.
If we were going to see a real damaging line of storms, we would be seeing, first of all, more lightning strikes than we're seeing here. We've been averaging around 400 or so, 432 at last check. If this were a line of storms that really had some teeth to it, that number of lightning strikes in the past 10 minutes would be over 1,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not seeing that. That doesn't mean this can't cause some isolated problems, but it's not as big a line of storms as we have seen in the past. And the other thing is, you know, it's moving pretty rapidly. So this should, although put down 1 to 2 inches of rain, you know, mitigate, reduce the flash flooding threat, and that's why we don't have a flash flood watch.
Right, and here's 3 hours of rainfall totals. Okay. So you're going to have 3 to 4 inches, So a pretty good soaking. It is moving at a decent clip. Yeah. It is picking up speed now, so probably won't drop these totals the entire way to the southeast coastline. But a general 1 to 2 inches certainly possible.
And that's interesting. Radar estimating a couple of spots here, you know, 3, 4, maybe a 5-inch spot here and there. That may be overestimating the rainfall totals, but still 3 to 4 inches in some spots. You know, even if we were to have 3 to 4, we could handle that as dry as we've been. It would cause street ponding for the morning commute, that's for sure. It would slow that down, but it's not anything that's going to cause any type of bayou flooding or house flooding or structure flooding. It's just going to be a line of strong thunderstorms blowing through here in the next couple of hours.
Right, and what's impressive about this, so these are all the active warnings. Each yellow polygon is a separate severe thunderstorm warning, and this one that's blowing through Austin now, when the Weather Service put out the warning on it, it was moving at 60 miles per hour. It is trucking along, headed towards Carmine and eventually along I-10, headed into our area. Right now, no storms in our area, no warnings, but if you're just joining us, we are now under a severe thunderstorm watch, and that's up until 5 a.m.
All of southeast Texas, all the way down to Galveston, where we expect the storms to reach you guys around 4:30 in the morning if it maintains its forward speed, which, you know, the models have been suggesting it is going to be a fast-moving line of storms. Perhaps this little section has slowed down a little bit, but it's still moving east at about 50 miles an hour or more, you know, which is going to put it into, you know, western Harris County in 2 hours. So, you know, what time is it now? We're pre-midnight. So
yeah, it's just midnight right now. Yeah.
So, you know, right around 1:30, 1:45, getting into western portions of of Harris County near Katy, 1:45, 2 o'clock. That's the timing of the arrival of that line of storms. And it's still got a pretty decent little bow to it. So I think we can expect at least some wind gusts to 50 and above in many spots.
Right, and we've talked about the lightning, we've talked about the wind, we've talked about the rain. What's noticeably absent here is this is not a hail threat.
Yeah.
So our hail tracker right now, estimated hail, radar estimated, nothing. Maybe a little teeny tiny bit of some pea-sized hail,
Squint.
possibly making it to the ground.
Yeah.
But aside from that, this is not a hail event. It is a straight line wind event. And this has been pretty obvious on model renditions of this solution for days now.
This is not a supercell producing severe weather threat. Supercells are the ones that produce big tornadoes up in Tornado Alley, North Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. This is a linear set of thunderstorms. Usually, if we're going to get a tornado, it'll be a very small little gustnado right on the leading edge of that storm system. And as we looked just a little bit ago at the velocity, we're not seeing any couplets, so we're not seeing any tornado spin-ups, at least indicated by radar over the past hour. This is a straight line wind threat.
Right, and let's look at some local storm reports over the last 6 hours. So this has had a history of producing damaging winds, which is exactly what we're concerned with. So some of these, let's put some numbers on here. Thunderstorm wind damage, small limbs snapped, 52-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported there, measured at an airport. So 50-mile-an-hour winds, that's under severe criteria, but they could get certainly higher than that.
Yeah, that's in Burnett, and we had 52-mile-an-hour winds. That's about what I would expect to see in many spots across Houston and Harris County as this comes through tonight. Here's one from Windcrest. 1-inch tree limb broken. That's what a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust will do. So again, very concurrent with what we would expect to be seeing. I'm curious about some of these reports right in the Austin area as it came through.
Yeah, let's see what those are.
Looks like maybe there was a report of small hail. There's wind.
Dime size hail.
Dime size. Okay, so pea to dime size hail. That's about what you would expect with a line of thunderstorms like that.
Yeah, and they're scattered all about here. They're not really concentrated. They're spread out over a large area because this is a very large system. It expands. The watches, at least, severe thunderstorm watches, were from the Oklahoma border all the way down to the Mexican border.
Let's take a look at what FutureTrack, the latest run of the rapid refresh model, is suggesting as far as timing goes. And all evening long, there have been subtle changes, an hour sped up and an hour slowed down, but in general, it's been between around 1:30 and 5 a.m. has it crossing across southeast Texas.
Yeah, and this is at midnight, so currently this is where it initialized. Pretty good job of seeing what's going on, and as it goes forward out into the future, here we are 2 hours from now into our area. It's covering a good amount of ground in that time.
So just coming into our western and northwestern counties by 2 a.m., Huntsville, Brenham, and folks near Colorado County and Columbus.
Fast forward another 90 minutes.
Yeah, 3:30 a.m. So
right along the I-45 corridor.
Downtown Houston, right at 3:30. Through the coast by 5 a.m. It may be 4:30 when it actually reaches Galveston, the leading edge of that.
Yeah, and in all likelihood, it's getting that shove as we were talking about. It's moving a little bit faster. So as it pulls through our area, it's probably going to be picking up forward speed. So once it gets here, it'll speed through quite quickly.
Talk about getting that shove. So what's happening is behind the system, there's a cool pool of air forming here. It's called a meso high, and that's just kind of acting as a push, giving it a shove to the south and east. I wonder if we had current Texas temperatures in there.
Yeah, we could certainly pull that in.
Because we saw this interesting. We showed you this at 10 o'clock. There is quite a bit of chilly air behind this. Okay, so Abilene's at 57. Austin's down to 61 now. So they were 80 when we went on the air at 10 o'clock. So they've dropped 19 degrees.
Amarillo's in the 40s. I mean, just wonderful.
That's, they had snow in part of the Rockies today, too.
It's amazing. It's almost June, and we're looking at a surge. This will probably, in all likelihood, be the last surge of really, not chilly, but unseasonably cool air for us for this time of the year.
So as this blows through, tomorrow morning in the 60s for morning lows, a little bit of light rain at sunrise. We think the storms will be off the coast before sunrise. And then Thursday morning, low 60s.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful start.
I wonder if places like Huntsville, Madisonville would end up in the upper 50s. Maybe.
That would be a glorious treat.
A beautiful start to a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, so we got another 12 hours, not even 12 hours. That'll be gone in 12 hours, but it hasn't approached our area yet. The warnings are mainly on the southern tier of this bowing line of showers and storms.
Yeah.
Really kind of looking like it's weakening, although we might be tapping out of the radar sight there.
I think we're tapping out of the radar.
There it is. Yeah, it looks a little bit better there.
Yeah. And look, Nice little outflow boundary scooting out in front of it. Another sign of strong winds near San Antonio right now.
Right, and what an outflow boundary is basically the storm collapsing and pushing out winds faster than the storm's moving in front of it. And a lot of times that can act as almost like a micro scale front and lift more air and fire off more storms.
Yeah, and it can tap into whatever energy is sitting out here ahead of it. And earlier you were showing the CAPE values out here still indicate that we could see moderate growth in that line as it pushes towards southeast Texas. And it looks like it is still moving at a pretty good clip. This is not slowing down, 55 to 60 miles an hour moving east right now. Okay, CAPE values.
So this is current.
Low to medium. So in other words, this is the energy sitting out in front of that line of storms waiting to be fed on by that line of storms coming in.
And which, when we talked about this 2 hours ago at 10, this was a lot more impressive. So it's looking like the available energy for these storms to tap into might be a little bit lower now, which is good.
I walked outside a little bit ago when I got my cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And a couple of things. There's a light south breeze. There's no real powerful low-level jet. That would be a feature that would be pumping in more moisture, more yellows and oranges, and it's not there. So there's some energy here, but it's not as big as we've seen in the past with some setups. Also, there's no low-level puffy cumulus clouds coming in. So even at 850 millibars, there's just not a whole lot of thick moisture. I mean, there's some, but in other words, the fuel for this line of thunderstorms, it's got fuel, but it's not over the top, which is why we're expecting isolated reports of a little bit of tree damage here, a little bit of hail here, maybe a power outage here and here and here, but not area-wide. Of course, we'll just have to watch it moment to moment as it actually comes through.
Right. And the CAPE values going forward. So here we are, 115. Notice they kind of, dwindle.
Well, that's the line, like scouring out the energy. That's it sucking up the energy and squeezing it out.
Yeah, so the potential energy is not, it's there, as you just said, but it's not overly impressive for a massive strengthening of this line as it blows on.
From time to time, we'll get a setup where we'll be sounding the alarm bells big time. This is, this is a middle of the road line of strong thunderstorms, isolated severe, and you've seen some of the reports that have been out of central Texas, as we showed a little bit ago. A tree limb here and there snapped, scattered power outages, some dime-size hail.
And let's once again look at the winds as estimated by radar.
Yeah, I'm curious to see.
Some of these are, you got the bright colors of green and red. So when you get the different colors, when you get the greens and the blues in occasions where it warrants it, that's winds that are moving towards the radar site. So in this particular area, we're pulling it out of New Braunfels area, south of San Marcos. So that's wind going towards the radar site, and the red will be going away. And when you get those couplets that a lot of times will use this product to detect, that would be a couplet of winds moving in different directions in a small area, so you have spin. And you get a couplet and the potential of a tornado or funnel cloud. We're not seeing that this time around.
I'm really grateful to not be seeing that at the moment.
Yeah.
If we're going to get a tornado in this type of situation, it would be right along the leading edge of our winds, and we're just not seeing that right now. No couplets. Good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Let's pick out a couple of wind speeds up here. So these are wind speeds a little bit above the surface. The rain transports it down to the surface. It's a great way for us to estimate how strong the wind gusts could be. And we're seeing in the stronger wind area, 53 mile an hour, 29 mile an hour, 46 mile an hour. This is the radar beam scanning the raindrops and measuring how fast they're moving toward the radar site. And it's a little bit above the surface, but again, the rain transports it down to the surface.
Yeah, so certainly windy, but not clocking anything here that's above severe criteria.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of that could be mixing down on the ground, but it's not evident here.
Yeah. All right. Good. I like
That's
what I'm
all
saying.
good news, yeah.
I mean, hopefully what we end up with this overnight is just a good soaking rain. We still need it. A lot of folks did not get rain from the round of rain we had this morning into the early afternoon, especially west side, just didn't get any rain. So, I mean, it looks like everybody's going to get rain. Lightning strikes below 400
Yeah,
now.
kind of holding steady, so not seeing it jump.
They've been at about 400 since about 8:30 this evening.
Yeah,
so
it
that
really hasn't been much.
It hasn't changed. It's a line of strong storms, some isolated severe, but nothing too big and bad really over the top. So, it looks like the best thing to do is stay where you are at home, watching us on your computer, and with any luck, we won't have to break into television programming with anything too big and bad overnight tonight. Still got a nice little bow on it right there. Straight line winds, the biggest threat. Okay.
And you know, the unfortunate thing about the timing with this is going to be the type of setup where if you're watching now and you're just getting ready to go to bed, you're going to get 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep, and then it's going to get very windy, thunder and lightning. The heavy rain will likely wake you up. If you have dogs, good luck. It's going to be a 3-dog night pretty much.
I could sleep through this, no problem.
Yeah.
Except for Phantom, who's not going to be happy with the rain and thunder as this rolls in. He'll have my family up. I'll be here. He'll have the family up. So
yeah, my dogs lose their mind when it's lightning and thunder. So not the best setup there, but it is a good sign that we see it not weakening, but not strengthening either. So that's the good news here. As it's building into an environment that's somewhat conducive for it to do so, it's just not taking advantage of it as of now.
let's just one more time walk through the timeline.
Sure.
And then we'll take a break and wait for the next update. But here's the latest timeline. Rapid refresh. 2 a.m. reaching our western county, already into our western counties by 2 a.m. Downtown before 3:30 a.m. and then pushing to Galveston, and the leading edge already off the coast, well off the coast by 5 a.m. So the leading edge of the stronger winds reach Galveston probably 4:30 as the line accelerates on through, and then by noon tomorrow, we're done. A lingering little scattered shower, not out of the question, but that's the way it looks to play out overnight tonight. I think we're going to see a few isolated spots that get a power outage, tree limb down, dime-size hail report. You know, if you can put your car under cover tonight, it's probably best just in case.
Yeah.
But you know, it looks like something we can handle overall, but we'll be watching it carefully.
Right, and if you're concerned with maybe flooding potential, that's looking less and less likely. Each run of our models comes in a little bit drier, still going to see rain, but now on the order of a ½ inch to maybe an inch, and that's going to be in and out really quickly, so it's not sitting on top of us and dropping copious amounts of rain that would overwhelm our drainage basins. Not the case this time around.
So you can go to bed tonight, but if you got to get up and get stuff done early tomorrow morning, don't go out and get in that commute before checking in with us. We're on the air at 4. We're going on the air at 4. So we're on the air 4 to 7, walk you through any type of road issues that may crop up with a few high water spots that are going to be around in some spots tomorrow morning. We'll take care of you, Cheetah and Jen. Cheetah's not in tomorrow. It's Pat and Kim and Jen who will be walking you through the weather tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock to 7 a.m.
Yeah, we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, we'll see you later.